Hey, what's up? Welcome to Fathering Our Future. I'm Anthony Vandegrift. I'm not the perfect dad, but every day, just like you, I am trying to be better. There's a big change that's happening for me and for my family, and I want to share it with you today. I try to focus on things that are going to help you as a dad, and I'm going to throw in some things that I've learned through the process. I'm still in the process, but some things that I have learned already, I want to just open up about and share with you, but I also want to give you the inside scoop about what's happening in my life. So stick around. We'll get to it. I want to break in real quick and let you know how much I appreciate you listening to the podcast. My prayer is that I can be a help and a blessing to you on your fatherhood journey. So if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. And if at any point you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email at fatheringourfuture@gmail.com. And if you want other good content, you can go to the website, check out the blog, and other free resources. Thank you again for listening. Be blessed. Do you remember when you became a dad and all of a sudden those New Balances just hit differently? There's something about fatherhood that impacts your wardrobe, and I'm happy to share that I can help you with that now. Fathering Our Future now has merch. We have sweatshirts and hats and other pieces of clothing that you will enjoy sporting as a father. Just go to fatheringourfuture.com, select merch, or click the link in the description of this episode and get you something that you will enjoy and be proud to wear as a dad. Dad, I want you to know I care about you and I am on your side. So I have a free gift for you. I've put together a 7-day devotional, extracted from my devotional, Following Our Father, to help you realign your identity as a dad, to be the dad that God has called you to be and that your children need you to be. Simply click the link in the description below and get your free 7-day devotional. I try to provide a scripture for every episode, so I'm going to give you Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse number 1. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. As you continue to read through Ecclesiastes chapter number 3, you get these contrasting activities that take place. There's a time for weeping, and then there's a time for rejoicing. And you get this spectrum of what you might view as good and what you might view as bad. And the idea is that there's a time for all of this. And the implication here is that change is inevitable. It is a part of life. There will be times where you come down from the mountain and have a season in the valley. And there will be a time where your season in the valley is done and you'll go back up to the mountain. This is the idea. Well, the big thing that's happening for me and for my family is we are moving. I was born and raised in Texas. I've never lived anywhere else. I spent the first 16 years of my life in Southeast Texas in a little city called Orange. This is close to Beaumont, Port Arthur, Houston area, if you're familiar with Texas. And then for the last 17, 18 years, I have been in the DFW area. And the idea of moving was harder than I thought it was going to be. For me, it's similar to losing my dog Rufus. I consider myself to be a grown man. I don't really question this. This is how I would identify myself. But I cried for 3 days when that dog died. That was tough for me. And I don't know why. Rufus was the dog that my wife bought for me just a few months after we got married. It was a birthday gift for me. And he was my best buddy. And when he died, I took that really hard. But I never understood why people took losing a pet so hard until I lost Rufus. And then I've heard people talk about moving, and honestly, it was never really on my radar. And then it happened, or it's currently happening. And at first it was hard. I remember my wife and I sat down and we had a conversation where it became obvious that this is about a 99% chance thing that's going to take place. And I laid in bed that night. I was on my side. And I shed a couple tears because I thought, you know what? I'm not going to see my friends as much. I'm not going to be able to just up and get lunch randomly with my buddies. I'm not going to see the same people. I attribute much of my maturity and discipline and knowledge base to the relationships that I have formed since I've been in the DFW area. I appreciate my church, the leadership at my church, and all those relationships that I've been able to establish. I've learned a lot from my time in DFW, and it's been a wonderful place. And I don't really want to leave, but it is happening. Life just took us to a place where it needed to happen. And I know that everything's going to work out. I know that God is with us because He doesn't leave and He doesn't forsake us. So whether we are here or whether we are in Ohio where we are moving, I know He's going to be there. And I know it's going to be all right. And it took me a few days to get to that place, but eventually I got there. So let me give you a little bit of the inside scoop as to how we got where we got. The current situation in our household was I was essentially the stay-at-home dad. That's just how the cards fell. It was the exact opposite of what I actually wanted. I wanted to be the financial provider while my wife was the one home with the kids. And life just didn't pan out that way. I'm not going to make excuses. Could I have made it happen? If I worked hard enough, I probably could have. But I didn't. And I was stay-at-home dad. My wife worked somewhere for nearly a decade, found another opportunity that seemed incredibly promising. She was very optimistic. It seemed like a dream job type fit. 7 days into it, she realized it was nothing like what it was made out to be. She came home on day 7 and she said, I cannot keep doing this. I want to quit. I want you to tell me that it's okay for me to do that. In 2020, I left my place of employment that I had been at for nearly 12 years, and I took another job in downtown Dallas. It was something that I had somewhat prayed for and got all the cool little things that I thought I wanted. And I came home one day about 8 months after I started, and I told my wife things that were going on. And I said, if I could go in tomorrow, I would quit. And this is on the heels of baby number 3, and the plan being my wife staying home and being an official stay-at-home mom, and we were going to make it work. We had everything in place to make it work. And she, without hesitation, said, do it. And so I did. And that probably ultimately played a part in my wife not being able to stay at home. But because she did that for me back in 2020, when she came to me on day 7 of this new job and said, I can't. If I could quit, I would. I just returned the favor. I said, do it. It didn't make sense financially. They had already given her a couple weeks off for a trip to Ohio that we were making in 2 days from the day that she quit. And I thought, if you just wait until after the trip, it's an extra 2 weeks of pay. Seems like the smarter thing to do. But my wife is a person of great character and integrity and said, that doesn't seem right to me. So I'm not going to take their money. And honestly, I don't want their money. I don't want the association. So I supported her. She quit. Household of 6 with a $0 income isn't great. For those of you who do donate and contribute to Fathering Our Future, I appreciate it, but it's not quite enough to keep my wife home or to keep us here in Texas. Doesn't mean you still can't donate, but you get the picture here. So we make this trip to Ohio that was already planned, that was already paid for. And someone who reached out to my wife at the same time she was entertaining this job that turned out to be a flop, reached back out to her because they got wind of what happened. And they said, you're going to be in town. We'd love for you to stop by, see what we do, and just talk to us. Long story short, she got a job offer. And they knew it was going to require a move because they don't do remote. And they allowed me to come up and talk to them, which I thought was different. And it turned out to be a good conversation. And I got to ask them point blank some questions that would probably be considered uncomfortable. But they welcomed them. And so that was reassuring. And so she took the job. I asked her for a few days to give me time to pray. and talked to some people about it. But in the back of my mind, I knew that it was going to happen. I just knew. And I think that's why I took it so hard early on when we had that first conversation. We had not made the decision yet, but in the back of my mind, I knew this is inevitable and it's going to happen. So in this process, I've learned a few things. There's one thing in this that I want to go ahead and share, and that is don't ever force your preference over logic. We had $0 income and a job opportunity in Ohio. And as much as my preference was to be here in Texas, that just doesn't make sense. The time that it would take to find another job for either one of us, the time that it would take to do that would only make the financial situation worse, not work. It would make it worse. And it just didn't make sense. We could make this move and be in a better position financially. It just made sense. Logically, it all made sense. And I think for me, again, I'm a logical person. I struggled with that. I struggled with the idea of moving only because of my preference. And so, let me just caution you, whether it's a move or whatever else, don't ever try to sidestep logic for the sake of your personal preference, especially when it comes to your family. If I would have told my wife, we're going to stay in Texas, this is not even up for discussion, they really want you, they'll give you a remote opportunity, they'll alter things to accommodate you. If I would have done all of those things, the only thing that I could foresee coming out of that is harm to my family for my preference. And as a father, as a husband, that's not what I'm supposed to do. So the first thing that I've learned in the process that I'm glad I would say did correctly the first go around was I set aside my preference for what made sense. Hey, if you're a new dad or choosing to embark on a fresh start as a father, I have a gift for you. I wrote a book a while back called Cut the Crap, Direct Tips for Becoming a Dad. I don't teach you how to change a diaper. That one's totally on you. But I do talk about 5 elements that you need to focus on as a dad if you want to be the dad your children need you to be. And this is completely free. It is yours. There's no strings attached. The only thing that I'd like you to consider is if the book brings value to you as a father, make a contribution by going to fatheringourfuture.com/support. But you don't have to. Again, it is a free gift from me to you. The link is in the description after the end of the episode. Click it, get your copy, and I pray that it helps you. Everyone has an opinion on fatherhood, but there's only one place that we should actually look, and that's to God, our Father. That's why I wrote Following Our Father, a devotional for dads. In this, I cover 30 qualities and attributes of our Father in heaven that help us better understand our identity as dads. Each devotional is followed up with a daily step so that we can take the principles of our Father and immediately apply them to our own lives. This is a tool and a resource in your hands that will bless you. Click the link in the description and get yourself a copy of Following Our Father today. Now, the other 2 things came a little bit after the move was already ongoing, which it still is. We're almost wrapped up with it. I'm still here in Texas alone. But let me get to it. So the way that this had to work is it had to be pretty quick. My wife took the baby and moved up first. And then because my parents live here locally, they were pretty upset that they wouldn't get to see their grandkids anymore. And we said, we'll give them time here every summer to spend with you. That can be a regular thing. So we kicked it off to kind of make good on our word by letting them keep the 3 oldest kids this summer. So they have been with my parents. My wife and the baby have been in Ohio, and I've been home alone, left with the cleaning and the staging and the packing. And it's been a fun trip, let me tell you that. But it was only about 4 days, maybe 5 days into the start of this, where my wife and the baby were not here. She told me through text earlier in the day that Jules, our baby, was missing me. She said she woke up and she did her little dad, 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 dad thing. And it's cute that she just says dad, 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 because I'm the dad, 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 dad. And so I said, well, FaceTime me before you put her to bed so she can see me. And that happened later that evening. And when I saw her, I almost teared up and cried. Even though it had been 4 or 5 days, she looked so different. Her hair was longer. It fell over her ears like it never did before she was gone. And I couldn't help but just stare at her and smile. I couldn't even recall phrases that I would say to her. She recognized me, and I wanted her to hear my voice and hear something familiar from me. And it took me a while to come up with it because I was stunned at how different she looked in 5 days. So that leads me to one point. Time moves really quick. Don't take it for granted. It doesn't take long for things to change. It doesn't take a long time for differences to pop up in your kids. Time continually ticks. You have got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. That was a hard moment for me. And in that, I also learned something else. I also learned that as fathers, we have immense beauty that is right in front of our face every single day. And it's so easy for us to take that for granted because it's convenient, because it's right there in front of us. And we don't question whether it will be there tomorrow. We just assume that the status quo will be maintained. Everyone will be here. Everything will stay the same. And when you function that way, you tend to miss some stuff. So through this, while I try to be a better dad every day, same as you, I have, in a sense, got a fresh revelation of time's continual ticking and the beauty and the wonder that I get to witness every day. And that neither one of these are things that I should take for granted. So that's the inside scoop as to where I'm at. I will officially be moved into Ohio with the rest of my family early September. And we will move into our new home. I will have some painting that I have to do and some other projects that I will want to take on. But it's going to be good. It may not have been what I wanted, but I know that it is going to be good. And I will honestly say this, as much as I love being in Texas, I love the idea of being a Texan, and that will never change for me. But I told someone just the other night at church, as difficult as this move was for me to kind of wrap my head around and be okay with, I'm so ready to move. I'm so ready to just be with my family. This separation thing has been challenging. And for people who serve and get deployed and you're away from your family for months, a year plus, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I will have been away from my wife for about 2.5 weeks, my wife and my baby, and it's driving me crazy. I get to see my kids periodically because I'm sick of being alone. But still, not having the madness every day, I miss it. I miss the madness. And I'm looking forward to us all being back together again and things being wildly hectic and me having to fight to hold things back because everything has escalated and it is so crazy, but I am so looking forward to all of the craziness coming back. So that's what's been going on with me. That's why you haven't seen anything on social media. That's why I haven't been posting reels, haven't been making posts. I haven't been doing a lot of anything. I've been doing my best to keep up on the weekly uploads of this podcast just to stay consistent in one area because life threw some curves at us and it's been a bit of a whirlwind. So yeah, we're moving and that's been a little crazy. That's a big change, but we're almost through it and I'm ready for it to be done. And as I've gone through this, maybe I'll learn some things when it's all said and done and I have some time to reflect. But what I have observed through the process, again, when big decisions present themselves to you, don't force your preference over what makes sense. Don't try to block out logic with your preference. And the other two things, time ticks, it doesn't stop. Don't take it for granted. And keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open and attentive to the wonderful things that are right in front of your face every day. Your family, your children, your wife. Enjoy what you have each and every moment. Let's pray. Jesus, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you that wherever we are, you're there. And where your presence is, there's a comfort and there's a peace. And there's an assurance that lets us know we're going to be okay because you are involved in our lives. You care for us. And God, I want you to know that I appreciate that. And I pray that you would be with me and my family as we continue through this process of making this move from Texas to Ohio. But I also pray for anyone listening who, whether it's a move or not, is faced with a big decision that involves them and their family. I pray you give them wisdom. I pray you give them peace. And I pray that you help them navigate it. God, I pray that whoever has listened to this, if they find themselves in a place of weakness, God, I pray that they would recognize you as their strength. And through all the transitions and changes that we make in this life, God, I pray that you would help us to be in tune with the wonderful blessings that you have given to us. Our wives, our children, God, help us to never take our eyes off of them. Help us to catch every moment we can. And help us not to take time for granted. God, help us to be involved and to be intentional and to be aware and to live this life to the fullest as you've designed us to do so. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thanks for sticking with me. I hope that, moving away from Texas doesn't cause some of you to stop listening to this podcast. I know it's a big part of my identity, but the Midwest ain't ready for what's about to happen. I'm going to have fun. But anyway, I want you to know that if you're going through changes or if you've got questions, you've got dilemmas that you're trying to think through, you don't have to do it by yourself, whether it's life or fatherhood or whatever else. I'm available to you. You can send questions or whatever you want my way, fatheringourfuture@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to help you out. Just know that I'm here for you and I'm a resource that is available. But I want to thank you for supporting this podcast, subscribing to this podcast, and for supporting me. I appreciate it, and it really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. And also thank you for being with me today. This is Fathering Our Future. I'm Anthony Vandegrift, and I hope you'll join me next time. Hey, one more time, I want to thank you for listening to Fathering Our Future. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please do so wherever you listen and consider leaving a nice review because I would appreciate that. But if you're not connected to Fathering Our Future on social media, you can find it on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and there you're going to get some additional content on a more regular basis that you don't always get here on the podcast. Now, the last thing that I would like to ask of you is that you would consider becoming a financial partner of Fathering Our Future, because dads make a difference, and dads are not disposable. Dads are vital, and they are essential, and they are needed. And the impact that dads make doesn't just reside in the home, but it has a ripple effect that goes to churches and communities and culture. And I'm inviting you to be a part of equipping and empowering and educating dads to be the dad that God has called them to be and that their children need them to be. You can become a financial partner with Fathering Our Future It can be a one-time contribution, a monthly commitment. But by doing that, you play a direct role in impacting dads. You can check the link in the description below. You can pray about it. You can get on board. And I thank you in advance for becoming a part of fathering our future in a special and a dynamic way. God bless you.